Pesticides are a necessary part of today's agriculture. They save the agriculture industry millions of dollars each year. In citrus fruits alone, pesticides have reduced spoilage by 75%. With increasing demand of food supply, this kind of production is integral. Unfortunately, chemical pesticides do more harm than good when considering human health and the conditions of the surrounding environments. Once pesticides are applied to crops, they can stay in the fruits and vegetables themselves or form runoff that makes its way into local bodies of water and groundwater sources. The chemicals present, such as chromium-6, nitrogen, and phosphorus, have several adverse effects. Human-induced eutrophication is an issue due, in part, to nitrogen and phosphorus-based pesticide runoff. Eutrophication is originally a naturally occurring phenomenon in which an algal bloom, caused by a dramatic increase of nutrients in the water, covers the surface of the entirety of a body of water, altering the ecosystem and reducing water quality. The incidence of this has increased significantly since the 1950s with the introduction of agrochemicals like pesticides. Eutrophication depletes the water's dissolved oxygen and creates a dead zone, killing fish and other aquatic life. While the prospect of this may seem scary, there is a more morbid result of chemical pesticide exposure. According to Lucia Maligi, a number of pesticides or groups of pesticides have been identified as certain, probable, or possible carcinogens by several national and international institutions. For this reason, countries in Europe have decided to ban the known carcinogens like atrazine, a chemical pesticide that contains chromium-6, which contains an endocrine disruptor that affects fertility, delays puberty, and worst of all, causes breast and prostate cancer. However, 80 million pounds of it is still applied annually in the United States. Big pesticide companies like Syngenta have attempted to discredit any scientist who conducts research that confirms these effects, going as far as to threaten violence to researchers. Their presence has allowed continued exposure to these harmful chemicals. Sharif Abdel Kudos of Duke University reports on this issue.
I'd return to an investigation that reveals the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, knew that one of the country's most widely used herbicides exceeds federal safety limits in 4 states, but failed to inform residents of the associated dangers. The Huffington Post Investigative Fund discovered that the EPA has been collecting data that shows people are drinking water laced with high levels of a weed killer known as atrazine, but did not publish the data. The Huffington Post tracked the amount of atrazine in 150 watersheds across 10 states between 2003 and 2008, using records obtained by a Freedom of Information Act request. Analysts found that over the past 5 years, the annual average levels of atrazine in drinking water violated the federal standard on at least 10 occasions in Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Kansas, states where farmers rely heavily on this weed killer.
Not only are the chemicals in our food and drinking water themselves detrimental, but the unregulated use is out of control. Though this may seem dismal, there is a way to continue to use pesticides to help with plant production without exposure to dangerous chemicals. 2 main companies are at the forefront of research and production of fungal and enzyme-based pesticides: Novozymes Biologicals and Safe Solutions. Novozymes has 12 locations in the United States and has developed a pesticide that utilizes a certain type of fungus that occurs naturally in the soil. After a susceptible insect, including thrips, mites, whiteflies, and vine weevils, makes contact with the fungus, spores grow on the insect's surface and invade its body and kill it. The fungus is harmless to most non-target, beneficial insects like the rove beetle. Safe Solutions uses various formulas and compositions of the protease enzyme and surfactant to create eco-friendly and non-toxic pesticides. Protease is an enzyme that the targeted insects emit in very small doses when it's time to molt their exoskeletons. A concentrated amount completely depletes the bug's exoskeletons, killing them in 6 seconds to 2 minutes. These innovative companies may still face conflict with big pesticide corporations like Syngenta, but with a generation of people looking for and investing in ways to save the planet, the growth of companies like these seems promising.